Yeah guys, it is time. Finally I'm making a video about my Panamera and asking the question which most of you ask yourself, why would you buy such an old Panamera? Sure, it got a manual transmission, sure it has a naturally aspirated V8, but why a Panamera? In the end, it's just a big old luxury limousine, right? Yeah, that's also what I thought. But I also drove many different Panameras and I knew they were extremely sporty. And here, this one, I think it's even more sportier. Not because of the power, not because of the grip, but the way it drives. 2009, the Panamera was completely new for Porsche. Not just for Porsche, but also the luxury segment in conjunction with sportiness, because it is by far the sportiest luxury limousine on the market. Sure, now there are also electric cars like the Taycan, which makes it better. But back in the day, it was the non-plus-ultra. And now, be surprised, my Panamera only weighs 1800 kilograms. Such a lightweight is noticeable, and the 400 horsepower feel more like 500. The reason for the weight is the elimination of the all-wheel drive and the PDK, which was just optional for the V6 and V8 rear-wheel drive models. In all markets outside of Europe, the PDK came standard. And yes, the V6 is therefore even a bit lighter. Another reason is that the Panamera's outer skin is made entirely from aluminium, and the window frames are even made from magnesium. But not only the window frames are high-tech, also the engine. You might think it's a simple 4.8 liter naturally aspirated V8 engine that has been around in a very similar form since the first Cayenne. In this version, however, Porsche's Variocom Plus is installed, which is Porsche's name for adjusting the camshafts and valves. The goal is less fuel consumption, but take that with a grain of salt. Factory specification for the 6-speed manual transmission is 12.5 liters for 100 kilometers. Very respectable for such a vehicle. Over 13,000 kilometers on the road. My board computer shows me 11.1 liters. According to my own logbook, it's 12.1. Guys, no joke, a Macan 4-cylinder consumes more on the Autobahn than my Panamera. And also a 200 kilogram lighter 911 turbo consumes as much as my Panamera. But of course, with such a big V8, it's not about consumption, it's about the experience. Because now it has 400 horsepower, 500 newton meters of torque, and it sounds fantastic. Without a sport exhaust in this car, but still, the sound in the inside is just wonderful. Also very quiet, which is also a big party piece of this one. Fun fact, we're driving 50 kilometers now in 5th gear, and this engine has at 1500 RPM 400 newton meters of its 500, and from 3500 RPM it has its 500 newton meters. This means it has a very similar torque band to a turbocharged engine, so 50s, and it pushes without a problem. 60, 6th gear, and this is now enough for me for way over 200, and I even had it over 280. Why was the Panamera also important for Porsche? It was the car with the new interior concept. Back in the day, the middle console was very deep from the 997. Here, now it's high up, like in the Carrera GT. And also the instruments are different. 5 instruments, 1 digital, and this went through all different Porsche models, and we still find it in the 718 and in the Macan, which will run out soon, and then the Taycan interior will take over. This means the interior of the Panamera was up to date for over 10 years. This is also the case because of the philosophy to don't use any multifunction wheels in the car, and we have one button for one function. And the first thing I do when I get into the car, I press the sport button, because then the engine response is just fantastic. Guys, a 4.8 liter V8, shifting it manually is just awesome. Yes, guys, but Panamera is not about sportiness. Because why would you buy a Panamera? Because you want luxury, comfort, the grandpa car, right? And yes, the Panamera is wonderfully comfortable, especially in the rear, where I don't have a lot about it. I still overtook on the Autobahn more 911 than 911s overtook me. And that has one reason, the wonderful air suspension of this car. I'm very happy to have one with the air suspension, with the adaptive one with PASM. And I have 3 settings, Sport, Sport Plus, and Normal, which is here called Comfort. In the meantime, in the Panamera and Taycan, it's called Normal, but here it's called Comfort, and you really feel it. The whole car moves from right to left in the roundabouts when you're on a comfort setting, and when you're driving 200 on an Autobahn, you have to push the button to go to sport mode. Then it's really planted as you would expect it from a Porsche. The reason for that, this suspension has 55 millimeters of travel adjustment between Sport and Sport Plus. We can lift it up 20 millimeters, and then from Comfort to Sport Plus, then it's 25 millimeter lowering. So there is really a big difference, and the car looks very funny when it's lifted up. It looks like a small SUV, but also luxury, because I'm very happy to have one of the cars with the espresso natural leather option, which was the highest leather option back in the day, and the leather quality is just amazing. Because even after 13 years, the leather is in pretty much new condition. There are no wrinkles, no scratches, no deformation. Only previous owner was apparently slim, had no watch, no dog and no wife. And if he had one, she definitely had no fingernails. Both non-smokers, of course. The luxury in my Panamera is more defined by the overall quality. Technology did exist back in 2009, and the Panamera could have it all. Standard automatic lights, automatic mirror dimming, automatic wipers, heated washer nozzles, airbags en masse, active front hood. Optional was distance control from 30 km an hour, intelligent lights with high beam assist, soft close door and much more. But the most luxurious feature are the stepperless doors, which Porsche only offers on the Panamera. No matter where you hold it, it stays there. But also in the front, it's very comfortable. Here, the standard seats, there are also optional sport seats, which are also very comfortable, and they have the shoulder bolsters. 8-way electric adjustable, which means they are fully electric. And with this one, Julius and I drove from the Provence back here to Mannheim 9 hours, and we didn't have any pain in the butts whatsoever. It's an absolutely genius long distance cruiser, and the reason why I bought the Panamera, because when I drive to my hometown Flensburg, the very northern part of Germany, let's be honest, with a 911 it's always fun to drive it, but there's a reason why most of them drive around with 130 on the Autobahn. Meanwhile, I drive 200 and overtake them. What is always spot on in the Panamera, like in the 911 and all other Porsches, the driving position, the steering wheel, it's just perfection. My Panamera is the very first model year from 2009, one pre-owner with 120,000 kilometers on it. It is able to get the Porsche approved, but I don't have Porsche approved warranty, and I will do a future review about that as well. And back in 2009, a much younger Richard Hammond and James May raced against a Royal Male in a Panamera S on Top Gear across the United Kingdom. And back then, Hammond said, "I prefer this to an M5, referring to the legendary V10 M5. That is even sportier, but only that. And this split between a naturally aspirated V8, manual transmission and air suspension is something which will never be built again. And guys, it's a huge pleasure to present you one of 96 Panamera V8 with a manual transmission.